Thursday, family. Welcome to the Teenage Thursday finale show. This is our last episode of year 2021. And I want to start by saying thank you. I didn't count how many episodes we were in, but we started in January, officially branded it in July, and we've been going pretty full force with the exception of me being on my travel season. And tonight is special because as I close out the year, I wanted to recap all of the work that we've been doing, all of the impact that my team and I have been able to make nationwide. When I see you on Thursdays, I am typically in my home office, which is actually my bedroom, by the way. And if you follow me on Facebook, you've probably seen the image. But when I am not here, I am typically traveling. And this year I did a lot of traveling to college campuses, community groups, student organizations, professional groups, and I'm going to recount some of that today. So I'm excited to share with you a little bit of what we've been up to for 2021, and then also what we got coming up in 2022. Hey, Walter. Thank you for joining. Good evening to you too, wherever you are watching from. We'll be right back in a second, right after our introduction. So we are back. I'm Linnita Hosten, your favorite student success strategist, and high school parents and organizational leaders who work with high school students hire me to help students devise a post-high school productivity plan. And the goal is that students are competent, competitive, and confident as they pursue their dream careers and ultimately make you proud. And Teenage Thursday is my weekly show where I just give practical gems to help parents and educators empower their children, teens, young adults to stand on their own 2 feet after graduation. And you've heard me say this, typically the measure of success that we have as adults in the lives of teens is their their financial independence. And so for every Thursday for the entire year of 2021, we've been talking about practical ways to do that. And tonight I'm going to recap some of the episodes, not that many, some highlights from the year as well. And then I'll let you in on some of the other things that I'm doing when I'm not behind the desk, like you see here, that's contributing to the impact that we were able to make in 2021. Hey, Walter. Walter asks, what's that opening song that you played? Did you get that off of Epidemic Sound? The answer to that is no. That is a custom track that was produced by a music producer who I went to high school with, and I purchased it from him. I believe in supporting people in their gifts. So all the music that you hear, with the exception of the show's theme song, was I either purchased it from a musical artist and or it was made custom for me. But great question. And if you like his information, shoot me a message. I'll be glad to send it to you. So, we're going to talk a little bit about, or share a little bit of recaps on episodes that we did that I felt like, dang, that really set home, or that was something valuable that I wanted to highlight again. And our first one is debunking the myth that we don't have to talk to our kids about what we do at work, and that it's impossible for them to know what they want to do very young. Here's my response to that. I don't know which spectrum you're watching from today, but all of them I feel like it is possible for our children to know what they like to do. It is possible for them to have a clear understanding about what they're studying. It is possible for them to attend any post-high school pathway and feel like they made a good decision if, in the very beginning, they had a lot of exposure in that thing. In the very beginning, there was a lot of dialogue about what happens next, what you could be doing next. If they had exposure early, I do think it is possible for them to be very certain, very clear, very attached to the end goal. I get that question a lot. Is it realistic for us to expect our kids to know what they want to do so young? And the kinds of persons who typically ask me that are those whom are disconnected to their innate natural skills and abilities. So, depending on and I posted this on Facebook today, our perceptions and opinions will always be communicated through our lens of reality. And so I feel it is possible for our children to know what they like, what they love, what they are interested in, and for them to have at least somewhat of a starting point. While they may deviate from that or it may alter, I think it is possible for them to be very keenly aware of what they like to pursue. So that was one of my favorites, my episodes. Hey, Deaconess Moses, she says, hello. Okay, so here's another one I want to take a peek at. There was not a plan for them. And if you think about it, our students haven't been taught to plan. They've been taught to follow instructions in the next stage. So from middle school, okay, you graduate, you go to high school. From high school, in their minds, you either go to college or the military. Those are the common options that I hear, or start a business. But at no point in life were they ever challenged to think about strategic steps. Steps are like their actions, sequential actions that lead to an end result for achievement. They haven't been taught to do that. So when you drop them off at a place, literally, depending on the kind of conversations that you've been having with them, they literally are learning as they go. Nothing wrong with that. I did it and I turned out just fine. You know, that segment was from an episode titled 3 Questions to Ask Your Student Before They Graduate High School. And one of the questions is, what is your plan? And as I mentioned in the video, thinking strategically, like sequential steps, action plans, that's something that from my knowledge, from my experience, from talking to other young professionals and those who are senior professionals, that's something that they learned along the way. And if you are not new to my community, you know that I am very adept to teaching very advanced and mature skills to our kids early so that they have the practice of the application of it, so that when it is time to implement those skills, they're not foreign. And so I do feel like we teach them to fish so that they can, again, stand on their own 2 feet. Everything we talk about is getting our kids to stand on their own 2 feet in the absence of our authority, in the absence of our counsel. We are really molding them to operate independently. And if we feel confident in them being able to do so, I feel like that's a really good measure of our success in the involvement of their lives. Okay, so our next one is a clip of a speaking engagement that I did at the First Baptist Church of Glenarden. And disclaimer, the quality of this camera there is not good, so I'm oily and everything, but I think it's a great clip and I wanted you to see it. Cohesion amongst you two. And I wanted to bring awareness to this. You are accustomed to having a vertical relationship with your child. And you know what vertical is. That's like top-down authority. Like at work, we follow instructions, or they came from up top. We just follow them, no questions asked. And that's an authoritative role. And so that is the role that parents find comfort in. And that's the role you've been accustomed to all this time. And then our children come along and they got the nerve. They got the nerve to not want to be vertical no more, or to not even feel themselves in a vertical relationship. They aspire to have a horizontal relationship with you as they age and mature physically, emotionally, and mentally. They desire autonomy, which is just the ability to self-regulate. And so that is why you start to experience friction. So you're going from here to they're like, no, I want to have a say. And that is why. And you know, this is the time as your children are making their very first life decision that is likely that friction looks really rough right now. And that's why I'm bringing it up. Our children's decision after high school is the first life decision that they make, whether that be college, trade school, the military, starting a business, gap year, Job Corps, year up. It's the first life decision. And I challenge both the parent and the child to do it interdependently. So that's 2 persons are coming. Sorry about the cutoff there. It looked like it was getting good. That's my first year speaking again at the First Baptist Church of Glenarden's annual college conference, I would say. This is the second year that it's been virtual. And this year, I was the only speaker who was invited back. It's always a pleasure to do work in my backyard. And I am no stranger to faith based work either. Um, Wherever you put me, God's going to use me anyhow. Anyhow, speaking of which, let's get on the road. This is me traveling to Mississippi. This was probably my favorite trip of the year. And I always like capture me actually flying. I don't know why. I just I don't know why I like watching those things. But I went to the Southern University of Southern Mississippi, and they had me in their gymnasium, which probably seated about 7,000 students, but there were 2,000 students in this particular room. It was the highlight of my year because while it was the biggest audience this year, we had the most intimate dialogue. And one measure of your connection to an audience is the number of persons who wait to connect with you afterwards. And there was a line, men and women, all colors. And so I appreciated being there and sharing the space with them. The student leaders, the staff, they actually took me out to lunch afterwards. And it was just a great time. And I'll be sharing recaps of the year across all of my social media platforms, including the remarks, like the testimonials from the staff who hired me. So if you connect on any other place, you'll see more of this come to life. And so Mississippi, University of Southern Mississippi was one of my favorite states. I was so nervous about traveling to Mississippi, but everyone was so sweet and kind, and the food was so good. Okay, so we also met quite a few trailblazers this year. And I want to jump back to she's not the first trailblazer that we met, but she considers herself the wealth building coach for kids, teaching kids how to build wealth. And I asked her this question about her daughter. Her daughter is 16. And take a look at this. Watching you guys, studying you for some time, because I'm a fan of your work. And one of the things I keenly remember your daughter saying, the 15-year-old, she said, I'm not interested in going to college. I'm interested in real estate. And you all know that now, so your financial strategy is not college savings. What was your initial reaction to her telling you that very keenly? She seemed very confident when she said it.
So that was the second time I heard her say that. The first time I heard her say that, she was like, "Yeah, Mom, I don't think school is for me." And I was like, "Girl, what? What you mean you don't think school is for you?" She was like, "I mean, high school is cool. I know I have to do it, but beyond high school, mm-mm. If I'm not going to be a doctor or a lawyer or something that I have to get a certificate or a degree for, then I don't really think I should go." So, it took me some days to process it. And I'm like, well, am I doing her a disservice by telling her, okay, don't go? But that's the pressure that we have on us as parents. You're always wondering if you're steering your child in the right direction. But I trust.
Such a great point. And I love that she was honest. Like, yeah, we're having this conversation. Yes, I coach other parents to help their children build wealth. Both of her children own vending machines. One of them has written a book, and the other one has another side business, and she's only 6. But she's teaching them multiple revenue streams. They understand real estate investment. So that's her thing. But for her to acknowledge publicly, even as a parent, I'm always juggling, straddling the fence. Is this the right decision for my child? I love that. I love the vulnerability and the transparency. And those are the kind of persons that I'm going to continue to bring on the show for 2022. I'm always looking for people who are doing something out of the box. They're doing it very well, and they can speak to it very practically, shrink down the verbiage so that anybody could understand. In the event that you ever watch Teenage Thursday with your teen, they could follow and it'd be very clear. That's the intent. The language should always be clear. So we love that from Letitia Williams, who teaches the Teen Wealth Building Academy. We also had a peek at Chelsea Green, and Chelsea is Ooh, a powerhouse. Well, Dr. Chelsea Green, let me repeat that. She is a musician. She leads the Chelsea Green Project. She's an entrepreneur. She teaches music at Berkeley College. Here's what she said when I asked her, what's the best advice that you've ever gotten, that you've ever received? Here's what she said.
I will say one of the pieces of advice that I took to heart the most was when I was getting my master's degree. I was at Peabody Conservatory studying with Stephen Wiercinski, who's now a professor at Indiana University. But I came into my lesson one day. I thought I was ready. Okay, I had practiced. I put my books on the music stand. And I was like, let's get it. I'm ready to go. I opened the book. I started reading those notes and I was playing, and he started packing up his stuff. He started packing up his suitcase and he was like, so I'm going to go ahead and go home since you're here to practice.
Mm. The whole point of her message was you perform, you practice the way that you perform. And she was saying that her instructor at that point watched her practice with reading her notes. And he said, in a performance, you don't read notes, you embody them. And so I love that she said that. Super practical and relevant to any career path. When you get the opportunity to be in front of anyone, even if it is practice, it's not practice, it's game time, performance time. So shout out to Dr. Green for all of her wisdom on that end. So this summer, we also had a partnership with a nonprofit. I worked with their girls for 16 weeks in the Excellence Academy, and it was quite the opportunity. For one, it's the first time we've ever done the Excellence Academy in a group form where all of the participants knew each other. And so we did a recap video. I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but if not, I wanted you to take a peek. I'm Linnita Hosten, founder of the Excellence Academy, and parents hire me to help their students devise a post-high school plan. This year, we had the privilege of partnering with the Phenomenal Young Women's Nonprofit Association. They gave us 10 girls to run through the Excellence Academy. Today is a capstone of the curriculum that we reviewed, and we'll do a review of that today so you can kind of hear everything we talked about. The final session of the Excellence Academy, we actually map out a student's plan that they would implement starting their senior year.
My biggest takeaway from today was learning how to path out my journey as a senior and then going into college. I'm very grateful that she came to us, and it just helped me a lot and made everything clearer.
And when you tell your mind, there's science, so much science is behind this. What you tell your mind, as a man thinketh, so is he. But the things that we see and touch and do repeatedly, they are literally absorbed into our minds. And nothing that we put on this paper today as far as planning, it won't matter if in your mind you don't think it can be possible.
I definitely think the Excellence Academy has been beneficial because they're able to see other girls their age engage, doing the same things that they're doing, setting goals, making plans for the future. It is a safe space for children to have a platform, have a voice, talk about things that they want to talk about, goals that they have, interests that they have, and not have any fear of being ridiculed or being told, oh, you can't do that.
So if you have a young man, because I also work, that's just a call to action. I didn't want you guys to have to sit through that. But when I sit back and I watch that, the Excellence Academy, the recap video, I was so nervous about doing that partnership because the young women were young as 6th grade, and my curriculum is for 10th grader. And so I had to adapt on the fly. Like every session, I was revising the information to make it age appropriate. And it was difficult, to be honest. It was difficult. But when they came to the recap session, some of them struggled with thinking broadly, and then some of them did not. But it gave me a chance to see how I could create something for 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and then tidy up what we were doing for 9th graders. And so sometimes opportunities are a great way to see like your learning gaps. And I appreciate that particular nonprofit allowing me to do that. They were still very pleased. But y'all know my motto, excellence in everything, every time. So my goal is to go in there and knock it out the park. So when I hit challenges, I'm like, okay, how can it be better? How can I make this? How can I revise this? So it was definitely a learning opportunity that was able to take place this year. JP says, such a great academy. Our teens need this. Thank you, JP. Thank you. My goal is that the Excellence Academy will be adopted by community organizations and that they would implement it in their own small groups. So I used to want it to be inside of the school system, but then I said, no, this has to be an intimate dialogue, intimate setting where relationships are very authentic. And so we have licensing agreements ready and available. And the end goal is that we will be licensing out the curriculum for other organizations to use. So good stuff. Okay, so this year we also had a chance to meet a really good friend of mine, Jay Spinks. He's a cinematographer. I met him as a photographer. He didn't do my first headshots, but he did my second pair. And take a peek at our conversation.
First time that I got paid in general to, perform my art or, to give a service, I was in college and I was, forming my business and I was trying to get work, but a lot of my clientele was back home. My brother had created a full service creative marketing agency and brought me on as like the lead photographer, lead videographer. And I started out like doing behind the scenes work professionally. And I took a bus home, 5 hours, the mega bus home from Pittsburgh to, DC. And a doctor paid me to do behind the scenes of him creating a mouth guard for an NFL player. And I got paid $200, which wasn't my worth, but it was like the best experience possible because I felt like, wow, like I can really make money doing what I love. I spent 10 hours on set and I did 3 edits, but I only made $200. But I say only now because it's a reflection, but at the time that was like the greatest thing in the world. I didn't count the hours. I really just tried to perfect the product. So I knew it was something that I was in love with.
JP said, Jay was fire. Jay, that was a great episode. And again, authentic transparency. $200 for 10 hours of work. I think he said 3 or 2 cuts. Do you know how long it takes to cut anything? Especially if it's longer than a minute. It has to render, it has to download. Like, it's a lot of work. So $200 is nothing. But the takeaway from that particular clip is that when people bet on us, and they allow us, they compensate us for our work. It boosts our self-esteem. It boosts our courage to go and try something else. And it gives us a chance to practice. It's affirming. It's necessary. And so I love that he was able to recap one of those highlights for him as he started his journey. And Jay is an awesome, super, super big-hearted friend of mine. So I was glad we were able. He was a hard person to get for this show. I be hunting people down. But I was able to lock him in. I'm super grateful for that. So we're going to take a break for a second, and I want to tell you about an upcoming event. I get so many questions about my setup. Like, how do you do this? And how does your lighting? And what is this microphone? What kind of camera? I get the questions all the time that I am hosting a masterclass. It's called Set Up Your Virtual Home Space Like a Pro. So if you create content for any type of, let's say you do it for your church, where you're on video, you do it for work. Let's say you host discovery calls with video. You meet with prospective clients via video. You create content like me online. This is for you. And so the masterclass will be held on Sunday, January 23rd. It's 2 hours, 5:30 to 7:30. And check this out. All of the proceeds are going to the DMV Young Professional Scholarship Fund, which is the scholarship fund that I co-founded at the beginning of this year. And so to attend the training is only $50, a $50 minimum donation. And I promise you, well, I know for a fact you're going to walk away with a shopping list. So you want to know about all this equipment, what you have to buy, and how to set it up. You walk away with some tutorial videos and a whole lot of information. So I hope you're coming prepared to take notes because my man JP High Tech is teaching, okay? I'm just hosting because he's really the person. He's the reason why all of this looks the way that it is. My intro, my outro video, all of the overlays. He's responsible for that. And so what better person to teach? Not me. I'm not the expert. He is the expert. And so I definitely paid JP more than $50 to look like this. So it's actually a steal. But I wanted it to be affordable, and I wanted it to be of value. I wanted attendees to come and be like, you know what? That was the best $50 I spent all year, because I know you will likely say that. JP said this masterclass will be fully loaded. Everything he do fully loaded, if I could just be quite frank. And y'all know, like, I know how I feel about quality. So you know you're going to get the best bang for your butt. So if you're interested, you can go to linnitahosten.com/masterclass, and we will begin the full promo of this in January. And I'm excited about that. Excited about raising more money this year for our scholarship fund. Last year we raised $10,000. Well, let me be transparent. We raised $9,634, and my co-founder personally put up the remainder of the money so that we can get our scholars their funding. So technically, we raised $9,600. And we were able to bless 5 students. I'm about to show you them, because I always fear that if I ask people for money, there's something in their mind saying, is she really going to give them the money? And I told my co-founder, we're going to be very intentional about showing people where their money went. And so I'm about to show you, we actually sat down with the awardees. There were 5 of them that each received $2,000 each. And we invited them to a check-in call, and only 3 of them were able to make it. So you'll see them here. Now, this is in Zoom, so I'm going to eliminate all branding. You're not going to see no Teenage Thursday, just a disclaimer. But I really, 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 really wanted you to see it. So take a peek at the 3 scholarship recipients, and here's what they had to say to donors like you.
So how was homecoming?
So like the events, like for some of the events, like the students could go in person, and then like other events like were completely virtual. So it was kind of strange.
And homecoming was whack for me. I thought it was gonna be like Howard. My mom got me used to Howard homecoming. Everyone I talked to was like, "What's homecoming? Is that supposed to be a big thing?" Like,
what would you like to say to the persons who have donated?
I would say that I'm extremely appreciative of the opportunity they gave me. I hope they feel that they've done something to improve somebody else, and I thank them for that.
I'm very thankful for all the people who were able to donate and help all 3 of us out. I don't know how much you guys think it helped out, but it did really help out a lot.
It helped me a lot. So to buy a lot of stuff for dorm, class, whole thing. So I really appreciate it.
I am so proud of y'all. I'm glad that it warmed my heart. First of all, that they came, because once you get to college, you ain't got to do nothing. We gave them the money. They don't owe us anything. At this point, it's voluntary. We invited them. We said, hey, we want to check in and see how you're doing. And they came. And so it warmed my heart to see them. They're all doing very well academically. They're all at completely different kinds of schools. And our intent is to stay in touch with them until they graduate. We promise them that. And so this year, in January, we will begin the promotion for our the new scholarship application, and we are increasing the amount to $5,000 per student. And the application is available at ypfund.org. But that is why JP and I are doing this masterclass. I'm trying to get creative about how we raise funds. So it's a win-win for the donors, and then it's a win-win for the scholarship recipients. So y'all see, you got a little strategy there. But I'm really glad, really proud of what God did through Felicia and I. And I promise you, raising that $9,600 was the hardest thing I did in 2021. The hardest. Okay, so let's jump back on the road. I am, at this point, headed to Texas, Wichita Falls, Texas, where I went to go do my keynote called The Year of Excellence. And the room was incredible. Of course, I'm really big on engagement. I always bring attendees up. They ask questions. Sometimes I use like Mentimeter to help with attendee engagement. I wanted to share this photo with you guys. This gentleman right here. Okay, so before the event started, I'm typically outside greeting students. I have music playing in the venue room, but I'm outside the door. And I heard him talking to the event coordinator saying, why do I have to come to another program? Like, I'm pretty sure this isn't going to teach me anything different than I haven't already learned. I heard him say that, but I wasn't supposed to hear it. So he came grudgingly. When I finished, this is him. He was like, oh my God, I'm so glad I did not go back to my room. This was amazing. I said, I remember you in the beginning. He was like, no, you heard me. And this is me saying, yes, I heard you. You said you don't think that this is going to teach you anything new. And so it was an awesome moment that the photographer was able to capture. But I had a great time at, what school was this? Midwestern State University in Wichita Falls, Texas. This is me at Tennessee University of Knoxville. It's my first time in Tennessee. And JP, who was teaching our masterclass, actually was able to help me edit some video that I was able to capture from this keynote. I want you to check it out.
When I came out, I said, I am excellence. My mind is of excellence. My visions are of excellence. That's not because I'm boastful. I am programming my subconscious mind. If you did not come from that, if you did not hear words like, you're capable, I'm proud of you, you can do it, I'm rooting for you, if you did not hear those words, it is likely what lives in your subconscious mind has to be reprogrammed. The things you see and say repeatedly will manifest. The things you say and see repeatedly will manifest. You can consciously be traveling to class, joining groups, and subconsciously underdeveloped in your confidence, your speaking abilities, your leadership skills. I challenge you, matter of fact, I dare you not to operate from a state of inactive consciousness. I dare you to be intentional about how you're operating this semester consciously.
JP is definitely the guy. He makes that look so effortless. But I had an awesome time in Tennessee. That was their first generation day. But check this out. This is me after the keynote. I always stay behind to talk. And I was actually getting feedback from this particular gentleman that he felt like my keynote was generic. He said, yeah, I could almost predict what you were going to say before you said it. So yeah, it needs a little bit more unpredictability. He said it needed more substance. It was the first time that I've received that kind of feedback. And I received it. I actually sat down. So I was kneeling, and then I wanted, as he started to go into more details, I actually sat down because I am not above reproach when it comes to getting better. So I listened to him. So I will never forget this man and his feedback. And then I got the opposite from this young man. He came and said, I've never cried when a speaker has spoken, but your speech made me think about my mom and all she sacrificed to get me here. And the only thing I'm going to do this year is make her proud. And so he just kept saying, thank you. He was like, I'm really grateful that I'm even in college. No one thought that it would be like me. And he just kept saying, thank you. And you could see like on my face, like I was so like, I could cry too right in front of him. But it was a great time for sure. So that was Tennessee. This was St. Bonaventure University in New Hampshire. I had some video of me driving up, but I ran out of time to show it. But that was a beautiful scenery of their particular campus. And because I try to keep our shows pretty long and we are already over 35 minutes, the last thing I wanted to share with you was that this year I did win the 2021 Leading Women Award for the Daily Record. I was recognized for my work with Excellence Brainery, which is my company that provides educational and career development training, workshops, and materials for high school students, Black high school students to be specific. And so I was pretty proud about that. I got to meet quite a few amazing women who were in my backyard. Very amazing. Last but not least, I know you already know this, but the Pursuit of Black Excellence for Teens is my latest project. It is on pre-order. It releases in January. We should be getting our proofs this week, and I'm going to be unboxing. But if you have not seen that promo video, I wanted to share it with you. In January of 2021, God gave me a vision to do a workbook series for teens to solve one problem, helping Black teens get clear on who they are and what they want to do with the life that they're so privileged to live. From that vision birthed the Pursuit of Black Excellence for Teens, a toolkit to support Black teens challenged with answering the questions: what am I interested in? What do I do well? And how do I plan to impact the world around me? The toolkit is broken into 3 collections: self-excellence, community excellence, and life excellence. With over 30 activities, journal prompts, quizzes, short activities, information on prominent figures, and historical learning opportunities, plus QR codes with supplemental learning videos, the workbook is a great tool for group learning within community organizations and school groups, or self-paced learning with parents and their teenaged children. If you are an educator, community leader, or parent invested in developing self-esteem, community engagement, career development, and global connectivity, this tool is for you. Awesome. That's the last highlight for this year, and that's not even a scratch of what we've been able to do, but I promise I don't want to keep you much longer. I just want to say thank you, God, for an incredible year of impact. This is the first year I almost scratched the surface of 6 figures in business. Which is a huge jump. My CPA said you jumped 5 times, times 5. But it's due to just being tenacious and courageous enough to keep trying, being innovative, and listening to the Holy Spirit when when something is downloaded to me, like that workbook, like the scholarship, like that masterclass and a benefit concert that's coming. But I don't take it lightly that all of the work that we've been able to do this year, all the places I've been able to travel healthy. I've never contracted the coronavirus, and I've been in front of more people than you probably have. So I'm just grateful for God keeping me in good health. And I'm really grateful for every parent that trusted me to work with their young persons. I think I might have privately coached 25 students. And then I can't even tell you how many virtual programs that I did. So for every person that I touched, no matter how small or big, I wanted to say thank you for trusting me with your group and your student. And I'm super pumped for 2022. I am. And we're just going to do our best to keep up the momentum and to be more innovative and creative and to answer more problems, to create solutions for the problems that may arise for both parents and educators and those who support teens. So as I wrap up the final episode of Teenage Thursday, again, thank you. Teenage Thursday is coming to an end, but we are only switching the day. So we're switching from Thursday to Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. starting in January. First week in January will be our first episode. So our show will be called Teenage Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's all I have. Thank you again for stopping by. I apologize that we're super long today, but I don't apologize for all that God did this year. I love you. It's nothing you could do about it. See you in the new year.